Two, one. We are live. Hello and welcome to PropTechBuzz, a business podcast on global PropTech, where we talk to leaders from all around the world and learn from them how they're building communities on PropTech, how they are growing PropTech companies, startups, VCs, and leaders from around the world. So, talking about one such leader, I'm very excited to have Lars with us, Lars Sommerer, who is the managing director of SwissPropTech. It's an innovative force in the Swiss real estate and construction industry. SwissPropTech serves as an independent innovation and startup community. It bridges the gap between young and innovative PropTechs and established market players. And I always wanted to understand about the Swiss market in depth because we are a PropTech community ourselves. And who else could have been better than Lars? And that's why I approached Lars, and Lars was kind enough to to get time, and he's here today. So Lars, welcome to PropTech Buzz. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Ravi, and thank you for inviting me and giving me a chance to explain to you and our viewers something about the Swiss real estate and PropTech market. So it's a pleasure to be here. I'm doing very well myself. We're looking back on an intensive Q1, an intensive start into 2024, and we're expecting much more things happening now in the next months from Swiss PropTechs. So we are very excited to move forward. Within the coming months.
Excellent. I'm very curious to know what all you have in store. But before we get into the meatier stuff, I'm curious to know about you, Lars. So how did PropTech happen? How did you get into the management director role of Swiss PropTech? Give us a sense of your background.
Sure. I'm actually the second generation MD of Swiss PropTech. So it's been founded in 2016, 2017, around that time. And it was founded alongside other initiatives from Europe, so like the Dutch guys, the Belgian guys, the Nordic guys, and the German and the UK guys along the same time, right? My background originally is not in PropTech or in real estate, as many Swiss choose a banking career for their first career because of Swiss banking in general. So I started out at UBS in 2007, but I made a change into a marketing because, for me, banking was too monogamous, and I needed to spread my wings and, get a better understanding of the corporate world. And there is, in my opinion, nothing better, to generalize or to give you a general understanding of a company than marketing, because with marketing, you have your grasps everywhere within the industry, right? So I did a bachelor and a master's degree, made quite some studies abroad also, went to the US and to South Korea, went to the Asian market also. And then I came back and started by accident a career in real estate. And, soon realized that real estate might be the best industry for me there is, right? Because I resonate very well with the people in real estate, and it has such a big potential. It's among the biggest asset classes in the world, and you can do so much with real estate. But as there is in Switzerland, it's also in real estate. It takes time to transform things, right? And that's why I like it so much. It's in a way very similar to the Swiss culture. It takes time, and with time, good things come, right? So that's why I found my way into real estate. And after a year at a marketplace called New Home, I was able to do the switch to Swiss PropTech, and I haven't worked a day since because it feels more like a hobby, like a leisure activity. Because what I do, I love doing so much, and ever since then, it felt like something that's straight out of the heart.
Nice. But how did it happen? Who did you meet? Like, how did you land up into this role? Like, give us a sense of that. Your starting days in this community.
So this marketplace called New Home is one of the big marketplaces in Switzerland. So you have to understand about the Swiss real estate industry. Switzerland is a nation that is divided. It's divided into 3 language regions, right? Yeah. So in India, I guess you have like up to 100 languages, which is insane, right?
I've worked with I was with Priceable, which is a big name in Switzerland. Are
Yeah.
you aware of? I was the head of products there, so I know about Switzerland. I know about the partitions, but yes, many of my audience would not know. So please tell us. Yes.
Right. So we have a Swiss German region, a Swiss French region, and a Swiss Italian region. There is a fourth region, but it's only a very small minority. But basically, those three regions have different cultures, right? So Swiss Germans are would be closer to the Germans than the Swiss French. They would be closer to the to the French and so on. And for that reason, the Swiss real estate market is very complex. Also, a lot of decisions are made on a very communal level, right? So you have 2,600 communes in Switzerland, and laws and regulations like construction laws and whatnot. All of these regulations are being decided on a very communal level, right? So you have to understand the market from a very bird's eye perspective regarding the whole potential of Switzerland, but then also from a very local level, understanding the market, to actually be able to execute projects and development structures if you want to do that. So a marketplace brings all of this together because it's basically a binding partition between people that want to sell or rent out properties and people that want to lease them or buy them, right? So it brings in right in the middle. There are insertions of a couple of 100,000 in Switzerland that are generally traded on those marketplaces, and there is a heavyweight that has around 85% of all the listings, and then there is two or three others, a couple of others that have not so many listings, but are on the other side. And one of these marketplaces is called New Home. And I was able to work for that marketplace, right?
Got it.
So that's how I find my way into real estate. And then, it just happened by accident, really. I met a guy, and he was the founder of SwissPropTech, and I shook hands with him like in December or January, somewhere in the winter times, and over time, over the next month, we had some interactions with each other, but just business wise. And then suddenly I saw this opening that was brought to my attention, and I said, "Hey, sure, why not apply?" And then everything just went so smoothly, and suddenly I was appointed the new managing director of SwissPropTech. Right? So
you're a good people.
the same. Sorry.
Not everybody gets this title, right? So there's lots of people, right? So you must be really good with people, and people like you. Are you considered somebody who's a sociable and people like working with you? Is that how it is?
We try to do that because Ravi, in my opinion, business relationships are the same as private relationships. At the very core lies trust, and you need to have trust if you want to move forward and do business together, even especially in real estate, because the volumes are very high and the cycles are very long. So if you don't have that initial trust and respect for each other, you cannot move forward. That's why real estate is all about people, and that's why I always try to be upfront, and as a result, you're a people person, right? And we see that especially in the Swiss real estate industry, it's all about knowing the right people, being there at the right time, and getting a feel for what the other people are looking for. And once you have that, you can actually generate amazing projects.
Excellent. So now you are the managing director of SwissPropTech. How long has it been?
3.5 years, actually.
3.5 years. Wow.
Yeah.
So I know we want to talk about the Switzerland PropTech, about the Switzerland PropTech ecosystem, but I want to know what is the mandate for Swiss PropTech? Like, what is it? What are your goals? What does the association mean? What do you want to achieve and stuff like that?
So our vision, and as a result of it, also our mission, is to transform or to facilitate the digital transformation in the Swiss real estate and construction industry. Right? We want to be at the very centerpiece. We want to be at the point where everything changes and turns around between PropTechs on the one hand and corporates, enterprises, traditional real estate company on the other hand. That's our role. That's where we want to be in the middle. We want to open those doors and want to help the people go through them into the corporate world. And as a result, facilitate the digital transformation in Switzerland. Because in my opinion, not even a company that is so fundamentally linked to this very world, like the real estate and construction industry, are immune to change, right? A lot of industries thought that their products are never going to change and are never going to go under, and within a couple of years, everything changed. So I'm a firm believer that in 50 years we will still live in physical housings, right, in physical units, but everything around, how we plan, how we build, how we market, how we broker, how we manage, how we repair, how we rebuild, is changing, and we see it slowly but surely, but it is changing. And that transformation, that facilitation of this transformation, that's where we want to position ourselves at. That's where we positioned ourselves, actually.
So you're acting as a catalyst to change the ecosystem to ensure that the digital transformation is happening. How do you do that? Like, do you work with these companies? How does it happen? Or is it through education? Do you have events? You educate them and stuff like that?
Right. I guess it's multi-phased service that you want to provide. And at the very beginning, it's all about creating visibility for companies, for their founders, for their brands, and even for their ideas. Sometimes you have those moments where you realize, wow, this is so easy, this is so fundamental, but nobody thought about this before. So you need to open their eyes, like like when we had the first iPhone, people didn't realize that they want it until they got it, and then they couldn't live without it, right?
Uber also. Uber is also something like that. People did not know. I have a taxi. Why do I need Uber? But today people can live without Uber. So.
Right. So if you can create that atmosphere, that's perfect, because that's the one you never want to leave behind. But there are a lot of other innovations that are basically in a copy-paste format, but with a new brush, right? So it's maybe a higher degree of automation, or it's a higher efficiency, or it's a better effectiveness, something like that. That at the first step you will ask yourself, but why should we do this, right? But then in the long run, you realize you can actually profit from it financially, or personally, or your corporate culture can profit from it. Many things. So you need to open people's and companies' eyes for the potential of those ideas and of those problem solvers. So in the first step, it's all about visibility. And once that visibility is generated, you will need to bring the people and the companies together. So networking opportunities is the second step. And it can really differ by country and culture. Switzerland is a very small country, so you can travel from the one side of the country to the other in 4 hours by train, by public transport. So basically it's very personal, right? It's a very personal business. So if you want to meet a new PropTech, you can just visit them within probably 2 hours and get a feel for the company, get a feel for the team, get a feel for the product and their urgency, and understand what they want to achieve with this, right? So it's, as we always say, it's no bullshit, and I'm sorry for using those words. It's just straightforward, right? But I think the second most important thing is networking opportunities. So you need to bring those traditional real estate companies and the PropTechs together, and show them that they work with each other, not against each other, right? And you do that by creating physical online events. You do podcasts, you do articles, you do research, you do education, you do interviews. Basically anything that is helping spreading out the words about innovation in real estate and construction outside. So also very thankful to you, Ravi, for giving us this platform. We would like to return the favor, of course, in another format. So that's the second step. And the third step, I would also believe it is also part of our service offering, insights into the market, right? You can do studies, you can do publications, you can do magazines, you can do content marketing, whatever basically helps spread the word around it. There is also other options that you can do, or that we do, which would be one-to-one introductions, personal introductions, workshop formats, organizing topic days, basically. So for example, you do a construction innovation day, and then you just bring a couple of PropTechs to a couple of construction companies and let them feel each other out, right? That can help also. But as an association, where your approach is democratic and you want to give equal chances to all of the PropTechs, it's always a challenge to give that stage to everybody and
Mm,
still have a high quality, right?
mm,
Because Ravi, let me tell you, we have 425 PropTechs in Switzerland, right?
mm,
Compare that to 9 million people that are living here, you get a very high ratio. You get a super dense innovation center, basically.
mm,
And it's not easy for PropTechs to always be in competition with each other,
mm,
and then get the understanding of corporates to implement the solutions into their companies. But I think if you follow this approach, you will do just fine.
excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is really, really quite revealing about how Swiss ecosystem is. But let's go deeper, right? So let's
Sure.
understand what have you learned? So 3.5 years, I'm sure you are at the forefront of the tech innovation that is happening, right? Mushrooming. What are some of the specific examples of maybe exciting advancements that have originated from Switzerland?
So to basically introduce this, we have to be aware that one of the major challenges we have in our country is the solving of the sustainability crisis, right?
Mm,
It's not just a buzzword. Everybody's, of course, talking about ESG, but people are seriously want to solve this, right? So one of the major achievements our country is producing, I believe, is sustainable construction materials, right? There are companies that are producing eco-friendly concrete, for example, or CO2 neutral concrete. That are companies and associations and PropTechs that are producing CO2 negative materials, right? That would actually be able to draw CO2 out of the atmosphere and bind it into the material. So our material science achievements in Switzerland is something that we're very proud of, right?
mm,
We have two major universities, and they're regularly ranked among the, I would say, top 50 universities in the world, maybe top 20 even. And a lot of these students or a lot of these achievements are in the physical, biological, and technological and robotics departments, right? So they're really forethinkers in their respective departments. So that's, in my opinion, one of the major achievements that we have.
mm,
Switzerland has also is also a very wealthy country, of course, right? And it has a lot of asset managers
yeah.
in Switzerland, like international names like Swiss Life or Allianz or UBS,
Yeah.
Zurich Invest. They
Yeah.
have their headquarters in Switzerland. So there is a lot of wealth found in real estate in
Mhm.
Switzerland, and managing that wealth over several countries, over several time zones, and with several local structures and cultures is also very tricky. So I would say bringing that data together and unifying it in platforms
Yeah.
is also one of the major achievements. We have a lot of really good asset manager
Mm.
platforms that come out of Switzerland. So the data thing is also another part, in my opinion, that has been moving on forward quite nicely. Yeah.
Nice. I think there was somebody who just launched on PropTechBuzz, Pasi, who does the same for wood tech. Okay, he also is trying to make it sustainable. I will connect you to him as well. Okay, great. So what you're saying is of all the countries, Switzerland is one of the leaders when it comes to sustainable construction materials. Material science is something that they are on the leadership. Am I right?
I would say so. Yes, definitely, definitely. I mean, well, another thing that is also very important in Switzerland or in Europe in general would be the data protection
Mm,
laws, right? So, um, Switzerland is probably in the leading field, but I would say the leaders would be our friends in Germany here. So the European Union is able to push push forward with very strict and very protective data protection laws, which gives makes bigger challenges, of course, but it also helps. It also helps with something that nobody's really caring about, or everybody's very negligent of data itself, right? So as real estate gets digitalized and gets more and more innovative, you have to be aware that with every transaction you do, you're generating data. And if you're not careful, that data will move into the wrong hands, and you don't want that, right? So regarding data protection, I would say we're also on the forefront of four thinkers here in Switzerland. Yeah.
Got it. And so why sustainability and data protection is Switzerland leading? Is it because of say stringent regulatory environment? What are the key factors that have contributed to Switzerland's emergence into, say, sustainability and data protection?
I guess being a landlocked country, Switzerland always had to be able to trade or negotiate with other countries when it came to raw materials, right? Switzerland is one of the leaders in banking, in pharmaceuticals, in luxury watches, and in cheese. So actually materials that are there would be in a service level also, I guess. A lot of services that come out of Switzerland would be traditional services without any underlying product, right? But still, those industries are the ones that we would be, I guess, would be leaders. But there aren't any raw materials. Like there is no oil or natural gas that can be harvested. There is, of course, a lot of water that can be used for energy production or for selling it abroad, but there aren't that many natural resources you can use in Switzerland that you can sell abroad. So, it always had to adjust. It always had to think, our country always had to think new ways into which it could innovate itself, right? Become an international innovation leader at this all the time. And because of that, because of the scarce resources, I think they were able to adjust quite nicely and always be at the forefront of innovation. And that transferred into the construction materials, into construction and into material sciences also. That, paired with an inherent wish to make the world a better place, basically, right? And to make it more sustainable and to make it greener than than it is right now. Make it more environmental friendly. That is another thing. Those big asset managers and investors in Switzerland, they are actually changing because they want to change, not because they have to. Well, of course, also because they have to, but mostly because they want to change to become better and greener and more sustainable companies, not only for themselves, but also for future generations. Yeah.
Got it. Nice. By the way, so when you are building this community, it's not just the PropTech. Are you also getting the buy side, the asset managers, the developers? Are you all getting them together in one ecosystem, or how does it work out?
Sure. Yeah, we have both sides of the equation. So our association gathers roughly 150 members. And of those 150, 80% would be startups, 20% would be corporates. Exactly.
20% would be corporates. Got it.
Yeah. So it's been set up like this from the very beginning. We have a partner network that is called Swiss Circle. It's been around a little longer, roughly 30 years. And it's been focused on traditional real estate companies from the very beginning, right? So asset managers, developer, construction companies, pension funds, brokers, property managers, and whatnot. And they gather 260 members. So if you bring that 260 into the equation, it's more than 400 companies that are within our grasp, and that can be brought together to talk about transformation, digital transformation. Yeah.
Got it. Do you want to share some success stories with the PropTech ecosystems? I know there are 450. You cannot just pick a few random, right? So it's very hard to pick a few. I'm sure everybody's doing a great job. But do you have some exciting startups that you would like to talk about?
Sure. Let me talk to you about one company that is called Wonig with a double O. And the very, at the very beginning, they were a property management. They are still are a property management software. And what they want to do, or what they did, was basically write a back end and a front end within 100 different languages, right? So they use artificial intelligence to make property management attainable to everybody. So if you're a tenant using Vonig and you're from Croatia, for example, you can basically have a ticket written in your own language. And if the property manager, let's say he's Italian, doesn't understand Croatian, they can just match it via an artificial intelligence in the back. So to me, that implementation of ticket services within property management is really, really nice, and probably a big life and time saver for a lot of property managers, because you're always focused around negativity, right? If you can automate this, if you can automate all of those issues and basically enable the tenant or the user to maintain the building themselves, your job will be much easier. So that's a very nice story. The company is called Wonig, and they work together with Emeria, which is one of the leading PropTech, which is one of the leading corporate property managers in Switzerland. So that's a very nice story. There is other stories. There's a company called Hegias. They have one of their shareholders is called Steiner, which is one of the leading developers in Switzerland. And Steiner has actually been bought by an Indian company a couple of years ago, right? So Hegias is focused around virtual reality in the development of new development projects, basically. So now, instead of traveling to Zurich, if you're from Singapore or from New York or from Sydney, and you want to invest in a building or in a project, you can just put on a pair of glasses and walk through the building, right? So you can develop this, and you can test out different layouts. You can test out different colors and different floor plans by just putting on some glasses and going through the building. So in my opinion, that is a major game changer when we're talking about the development of new projects. There is a company called Backbone, and Backbone has been one of the pioneers in property marketing materials. Right?
Yeah, we wrote about Backbone, but I thought Backbone was a French company or a Spanish company.
No, it's actually a Swiss company, right?
Okay.
They have offices in a couple of others, and what's really nice is that they work with some of the biggest names in property brokerage in Switzerland. Traditional companies that have been around for 50, 60 years.
Dorian Wink, she's the CEO. Dorian Wink.
Yeah, exactly, Dorian, right. So they were able to bring technology into a very traditional field that has been very careful, not to implement technology too fast, but they work with, for example, Valde Immobilien, right? And they're able to deliver those images to them, and it's such a great story that a company that has been around for a long time and is also very traditional. Is able to use technology to bring them into the new world. Really.
The reason I know, because we just covered their news on our media.
Yeah, exactly. They just did something new. Yeah.
I actually messaged him as well, and we covered the story. They acquired Emogent just last week.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Cool.
And
nice.
Ravi, another success story is the company you work for, PriceHubble.
PriceHubble, right? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, PriceHubble is a pioneer regarding artificial, AI based property evaluations.
Yeah.
Right. So, in my opinion, one of the biggest names in the PropTech household, and a great success story to be named on international terrain. Yeah.
Nice. Excellent. This is really, really good. I did not know so many exciting stories from Switzerland.
But there are many, many, many more that could be named. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Is there a way that SwissPropTech is a little different than other organizations in the global PropTech landscape? Like, what is your unique? Do you stand out from other communities, other PropTech associations?
I would say one of the things that makes us different, or that in which we are different, would be the fact that Switzerland has so many PropTechs,
Mm,
right?
mm,
I mean, compared to other markets in Europe, there are just so many PropTechs that are active in Switzerland.
mm,
That's very unique about our market,
mm,
in my opinion. But I think when I look abroad to the Germans or to the Austrians or to the Dutch or to the Nordics, many initiatives, many associations have the same wish, right?
mm,
Bring bring the two worlds together, the traditional and PropTech world, to bring it together and to make it into a digital real estate and digital construction industry. So in that sense, I would say we wouldn't differ too much from the basic and underlying service offering.
mm,
What's very unique about Switzerland, though, as I mentioned, is the three languages that
mm,
that you have within that, and the
mm,
three cultures, and the fact that Switzerland has so many prop techs. That's
mm.
also very unique. Yeah, yeah.
Got it. Got it. So I've also seen that there is a inherent reluctance because there are lots of PropTech companies who talk to us and they say that
Hmm.
you connect us with the on the buy side, okay? And I often have seen that the buy side, the traditional real estate, they are still not so much forthcoming. Okay, they always stay far, and the PropTech companies are trying hard to reach out to them to show them a demo and stuff like that. Do you see that it's a challenge everywhere, or is the real estate industry in Switzerland more open to talk to these PropTech players?
No, no, no. I agree. I agree. We actually, Ravi, we do a yearly study about the status quo of the Swiss PropTech scene, right? And
Mm.
one of those questions that we always ask is about the readiness and the willingness to work together with PropTechs.
Yes.
And we've seen that, that willingness when we ask, are you willing to work with those companies? And the answers are yes, and somewhat yes. We
Mm.
see a big proportion for a portion in the somewhat yes stadium, right?
Mm,
Those are the kind of companies that say, sure, yeah, come to us, present your solution, do a pitch, and
mm,
then they just put it on hold for a couple of months, right? We see a
mm,
lot of those. But every day we see more and more. Pioneers that are actually implementing digital solutions into their portfolio. So I think every day that passes, the willingness goes up a little higher, and that the acceptance goes up a little higher.
mm,
But at the very beginning, as we said, it takes time, right?
mm.
And it's like a drip on a stone, a drip of water on a stone that applies to real estate also. It just takes
That
some time.
takes
Yeah.
time and then it can penetrate eventually.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is, if you were to have some laws or regulation that
Mhm.
would force you to use those kind of solutions, it would
Mm,
be different. We don't
mm,
have that, right?
mm,
And I'm glad that we don't have it, because it would, I don't know, it would probably generate mayhem, because whenever there's a new law, there are ways around it. But if we had those structures, you would be forced to transform yourself, right? If
So,
Yeah, yeah.
so in that, if I understand you right, sustainable any PropTech companies or startups in sustainability, they have an upper hand because at least there is regulatory pressure for the buyer side, right? So they will be open to succeed even more. Am I right? Because
Yeah.
anything to do with climate change
Well,
and
that's the thing. That's the thing, Ravi. I think, I think it's also one of the biggest trends, the whole movement to sustainability right now. So, for the first time in a long time, you are forced to do something, right?
Mm,
So the nations, the countries, and the industries, they have to be CO2 neutral
mm,
by time X. That
mm,
can be, it's different. Some companies say they want to be climate neutral by 2025, 30, 35, 40, or 50. But I think the ultimate last point,
mm,
as mentioned by the European Union, would be 2050. So
mm,
those industries have to be climate neutral by 2050. And that, in my opinion, that hasn't happened yet. That
mm,
you are being regulated to a way that you probably won't be able to do business if you're not climate neutral, right?
mm,
Because there are already cases being talked about in Europe. They call it some sort of negative discounting, in which if your portfolio is not green or sustainable, you would get a devaluation, or you would have to pay a premium or get a negative tax discount in some way that you have to compensate for that, right? That hasn't happened yet in Switzerland, but talks are being held, and the direction is headed in this way. So that is probably the reason why this field has a lot of potential. And also remember that 80% of the buildings, that's at least what Schindler said, the big lift elevator producers in Switzerland. In their innovation tour, they said that 80% of the buildings in 2050, they already stand, right? So they're already around. So you shouldn't ask yourself, how can we make new buildings more sustainable and more and greener? But you should ask yourself, what can we do with everything that is already around? Right? How can we bring technology, innovation, sustainability, and climate neutrality into the existing building parks in our countries? That's going to be the major challenge. Yes.
Nice. How about outside PropTech companies who are willing to make entry into Switzerland? Is this something? First of all, give me the dynamics. How does it work out? Is this something that you are also open for? Because through my community, PropTechBuzz, we are bringing the entire global ecosystem together. So there's a lot of collaboration happening on our platform. There are market entry also. That's something many people are interested. Is first of all, is Switzerland a big market also for outsiders to come in, or it is far too small? And what do you offer to them as well?
They always say Switzerland's a make it or break it market, basically, right? So if you make it here, you will make it anywhere else also. So the Swiss market, because of its cultural differences, is not easy to get into. It's the Swiss are per se a little skeptical, so they're skeptical towards anything new that is happening. And we always recommend boots on the ground. So we always say you should have a physical office in Switzerland, a physical address, and you should have people here that speak the language, right? That speak the language and the culture. Take a Swiss German guy for the Swiss German part, and take a Swiss French guy for the Romandie, for the Swiss French part, right? Keep that, and you will have just the normal challenges that are being brought to you. If you don't have that, you will also have the stigma of being one of those foreign companies that does a price dumping strategy and basically just wants to sell me something that won't work out in the long run, right? So that's that. And that having said that, there are a lot of companies that are coming into Switzerland because it's such a high volume, actually high price market, right? So the general real estate transaction is like super high in Switzerland, and volumes are very high regarding price. The price points are very high, so you can use that to your benefit. You can actually gather a lot of very nice margins if you follow the rules that we said at the very beginning.
Got it. So what would be a suggestion for anybody looking to enter boots on the ground? You said, how can they build boots on the ground? Do you offer any kind of, help or some kind of a consulting for foreign companies who want to make entry there?
Sure. If you want to enter the Swiss market, you can talk to us. No problem. We can tell you about the different cities in Switzerland, about the different regions. We can tell you where you should have your office. We can show you the local partners that you need to talk to. We can give you the right names of lawyers and relocation experts that can help you, open your office, and structures on contracts and everything. Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Well, this brings us to the end of a very, very fascinating conversation with Lars. Lars, thank you for opening up the scene to the entire world, and I'm sure there are lots of people who will be interested to reach out to you later after listening to this. And thank you for everything that you're doing, and I'm looking forward to hearing more exciting things, more startup stories, more success stories, and so on and so forth. So thanks again, Lars.
Thank you very much, Rob. It's been my pleasure. And as you already said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I was happy to talk and get in a conversation. Thank you for your attention.
Excellent. All right. Bye bye, Lars.